Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and in this tutorial of PERL 5 programming, we are looking at variables. The idea is to cover type of variables which are supported in PERL 5 and slightly look at the scope. What does it mean by my and our kind of scopes? So let's get started. Continuing the video from this tutorial onwards, I would be posting all my programs in the GitHub. So you could find all the tutorials which we will be covering, and also with some brief description of what I will be covering. So this would give you a pretty much fallback mechanism in case if you want to scroll through it and read what I'm going to cover and what has been covered. Okay, so this image which is here, it shows basically how a particular variable is been defined in Perl. It has different parts to it. The first one might show the scope, the dollar is the sigil, and it changes, which we will see by with the data type, with the type of variable which you're going to use. Count is the name of the variable, and then there is the operator which tries to assign the value to the variable. Now the operator and the value is optional, so you can have a variable defined without any value at the time of definition, but you could assign it later. Okay, and the remaining part I have covered here. So basically Perl supports three different type of variables. One is called scalar. Scalar basically stores single value, as you are seeing here. It's like dollar count equal to 6. Count tries to save that. In the similar way, you can save your string value also. So it doesn't matter whether you are trying to store a string or a float, integer, or any other data type, and Perl is pretty nimble in that way. And then there is the second type, which is arrays, and arrays tries to keep the collection of scalar values. Okay, so fruits, apple and guava, and then there is mixed values where you can have the string or even the other type of variables combined together in one particular array. The third type is hash, which is nothing but a key value pair, and you can store relative information in this. And what happens is these three basic building blocks give you a lot of control in storing a lot of different values, right? So, and the fourth point which I really wanted to mention is the reference values. It's not complex like pointers which used to be in C, but it's much more cleaner and easier for you to understand. Is you can actually store a reference of a particular hash, particular variable in another scalar variable. So this scalar variable makes gives you an access to tweak the whole values and create your own data structures, right? And it makes it much more easier for you to play with. So that's pretty much all of which we will be covering in this. You have details uh, mentioned in the readme. Also, you have this learning variable program, which contains the actual working program. Okay, I would take you through all the program also. So in this case, this is the shingle which tells Perl interpreter on which Perl to use. That is the package, and we have named it as learning variables. And I don't know if you really noticed it while scrolling, but this is a TDY file. I always make I'm trying to make a habit so that we use Perl tidy to clean our program so it is much more readable for anybody later at a later part of time. So please you also practice it. It will keep your code much more cleaner. You know, these are the standard strict and warnings. Please do use it. It is very important that your Perl code meets the standards from the day one, because once you learn in a shabby way, it becomes difficult for you to come back and learn those best practices. So that is why I'm making this whole tutorial, and I'm trying to make sure that you understand and follow these smaller things from the day one. Okay, so here are the scalar examples which we tried to cover, and then these are the arrays and hash. Reference values are there. You can assign values in two ways. It's this, and then this is the object. The dumper is the way basically to print what a reference value holds. Okay, and for you to use dumper, you would need to use this Perl module data dumper. It comes by default and it helps you print the values in the variable. Okay, and then passing by these best practices, always try to use proper nouns to define your variables, because if you come back to a program after 3 years or 5 years, you would not know what that particular thing holds. So if you can make the program a pseudo logic which can be read, and by just glancing over it, it will be much more easier for other people who are coming and reading the code after you, much easier and much lesser painful. So make sure that you use that. So try to have a logical approach to, or a logical name to what you are going to store in the variables. Okay, the second best practice would be is always you try to use underscore ref as a suffix to the variables which are storing references. If you're storing object, you don't have to do it, because object will obviously carry a noun to it. Okay, so that you please remember, because normally people get confused in that. And then always start your variable name with either an alphabet or underscore. Underscore normally is used for variables which are internal use only, as in only used in package, which are not accessed outside. It's like, you remember in HTML there is something called as input type equal to hidden, which actually doesn't go on the front end, but you always get that kind of variable to store the values. So something like that, when you are using which is not accessible for others to store values, try to use underscore in that. Okay, and the last passing bit would be, though this is supported, okay, but do not use them as your personal variable, because $1, $2, or any of these series normally is used to store runtime values. Suppose like you do a regex and then there are outputs of that, those go in $1, $2, and things like that. So please don't use them, it will confuse and you cannot track the real-time values of them. The last part which I have not written in here is, if you specify $1, the Perl looks for next character after this first digit would always be digit. If you don't give it, it is going to give you an error. Okay, so please feel free to run this program. I have tested it. Looking forward for more feedback, and if you have any concerns, questions, feel free to let me know. And the link of this particular GitHub repo will be shared in the description. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Thank you.